So I'm taking questions right now, largely on the content that we've discussed so far. This next question that has come in is the whole New Testament credible? Meaning, before we can really evaluate the claims made about Jesus in the New Testament, can we trust the whole document? And you should go back and watch episode 3 because I talk about this in a little bit more depth, specifically on the gospel accounts. Now, I want to provide some perspective on the whole. So, the 27 books of the New Testament, are they credible? Let's investigate. Okay, first I want to offer just a little disclaimer. Much has been written on this specific topic, like books, dissertations, articles, all kinds of stuff. So there's no way we can fully address everything that we would necessarily need to in one little Q&R episode like this. If there's enough interest, we can explore this further in the future. What I want to do is offer maybe a little bit more than a starting point. I want to offer how I am personally satisfied that the New Testament is credible here in just a couple minutes. Okay, the issue that we're talking about here is the canon. Okay, that's what is referred to academically as the canon. These are the books of the New Testament that are either included or not included. What do we include? Canon means measuring rod or cane. It's the standard of the whole of Christianity. So it's kind of it's a really big thing. And there's been a lot of debate about it. And while the evidence is very large that all of these documents were written before the end of the first century, there was a lot of debate for the first 300 years or so of what should be included and what not. And here is where we just really don't have time to go into all of the history of why there was so much debate, but it's good to know that there was debate. And there were different attempts to canonize the New Testament into this is our standard, including the Muratorian canon in AD 170, the Council of Laodicea in 363, the Council of Hippo in 393, and the Council of Carthage in 397. And if you want to do a deeper dive into this whole subject, this is where you have to investigate further. It's very, very fascinating why some debated that just these documents should be included, while others wanted to include more. But eventually the decision was made, and by the Council of Carthage, all 27 of the books that are in the New Testament had been researched and affirmed. They became the official canon based on 3 primary criteria. Okay, the first was, is the book written by an apostle or one closely associated with an apostle? Was it written by one of Jesus' chosen apostles that the church had devoted themselves to their teaching? Was it written by one of them or somebody that was closely associated? Meaning Luke was closely associated to the apostles, and other New Testament documents affirm his account as scripture. Similarly for Mark, while he was not one of the apostles, he was closely associated with Peter. He is also included. So, first criteria, is the book written by an apostle or one closely associated by an apostle? The second criteria is the book widely accepted by the church at large? Meaning, churches were meeting all over. Did most of the church consider this book as scripture? And then the third criteria was, does the book contain consistency of doctrine with what the apostles were teaching, right? And so all 3 of those criteria were used, and the 27 books that are in the New Testament were fully accepted. Now, since that time, the New Testament has continued to be researched and has remained largely unchallenged, meaning you can pick up a Bible in almost any country around the world right now, and you're going to get the same thing. There are a couple differences between Protestant Bibles and Catholic Bibles, but for the most part, these 27 books are widely accepted still. Now, nearly 2,000 years later. Now, I know that some people are asking this question, yeah, but what about documents that have emerged maybe since that time? Like, what about the Gospel of Thomas? What about the Gospel of Mary? What about the Gospel of Judas? Luke tells us at the beginning of his account that many had attempted to write accounts. Many had attempted. And these accounts that we don't have today, but probably many of them, were either lost or they just simply didn't meet the criteria, like the Gospel of Thomas, Mary, Judas, etc. So with that in mind, I believe that it's most reasonable to conclude that the New Testament is credible based on, one, the debate, research, the criteria, and the acceptance of the early church, as well as two, the test of time. My personal belief is that we can rely on this because many people have investigated it over centuries and have come to the conclusion that these 27 books are credible. They are they are reliable for helping us understand the claims, the teachings of Jesus. And so I believe that we have the book that God wanted us to have. You can spend an entire lifetime investigating and going deeper into the understanding and exploring the depths of God and how He has revealed Himself to us in these books. And if you'd like to go deeper with any of this, just let me know. But from here, I actually want to go deeper into the claims of Jesus and pick up one of the very first, if not the very first account that was written in the New Testament. It's the Gospel of Mark. And we're going to pick up with him. Who is Mark? We're going to talk about that in this next episode.